Hello fellow human, hope you guys have a marvelous day and let's enjoy ourselves with some r/I don't work here lady stories. To the first one. Why are you screaming at a child? A little bit of background. My dad worked a representative for a cookie company. He helped stock items on shelves in grocery stores in certain areas. Since I was age of 5 or 6, I helped him fill up the shelves. When I was 10, I was short, so looked more like 7-ish. I was probably wearing a t-shirt and jeans. I was doing the normal routine of placing new boxes of cookies on shelves. A lady in her mid-40s came up behind me and kept clearing her throat. I was not paying attention at all until she tapped the side of my body with her card. I turned around and met her gaze. That is when she erupted like a volcano. Finally, kind of you to pay attention. I need Diet Coke. Go get me some. I was shocked and unable to talk. Honestly, I was having a panic attack and couldn't make sense of her words anymore. Thankfully, my dad ran up to the two of us and said, "Why are you screaming at a child?" My dad does not get angry often, but it looked like he was about to lose it, rightfully so. The lady would not stop her angry rant and clearly did not even listen to us. She kept moving her cart back and forth like she was about to hit us with it. Dad took me to the back room and told the manager what was going on. She was escorted out of the building with the threat of police being called on her. Well, it's clear that Karens, they don't give a hoot about anything or anyone. They think everyone who isn't them or their children or, some sort of employees. The second story. I already said I don't work for you, leave me be. This happened a few hours ago and I decided to post this here while it's still fresh in my memory. I live in Rio de Janeiro and had some sort of business downtown, and I already making my way back home when I get approached by what I assumed was an American tourist. I think he must be American mostly because of his accent and how incredibly loud he was. Here's the cast. E.T., not the alien, just an entitled tourist. Me, molasses entity, in other words, myself. E.T. Hey you, kid! I need to go back to the hotel. Drive me back there now. Me, noticing he was a tourist. Well, I don't work for any hotels, and it's quite dangerous to ask strangers on the streets of a foreign country to take you anywhere. There's an information counter in this building where they may help you. E.T. No, I know you work for the redacted hotel, and I will have your head if you don't take me back there this instant. Me. Sorry, but I already said I don't work for any hotels or for you. Excuse me. I made my way to the metro station only to find out that the tourist followed me there and he was mad. I sprinted to my turnstile, used my pass to get through it, and stopped to watch what happened to the tourist from the other side. He stopped chasing me right after I got through the turnstile and was gesturing obscenities at me, and while he was doing so, he left his backpack on the floor. Then, in a godly act of instant karma, someone stole his backpack. I burst out laughing and got on a train and make my way home without any other incidents. Well, you know what? Somehow I find it difficult to feel sympathy for him. The third story. Preteen pissed because I didn't respond. So I had left work the other day, still in my previous work clothes, that just happened to be jeans and a t-shirt. So nothing special, no orange apron. And I decided to stop in the garden center of a Home Depot. I'm just casually looking at the plants outside, moving stuff around to look at what is healthy. And I noticed this group of like 13 or 14 years old girls walking around. I didn't pay any attention to them and just kept looking. One of them started saying, "Hey," every couple of steps, then she starts snapping too until I realized that she is talking to me. I had already seen them, and I knew I didn't know anything about them, and I turned and the skinny little all made up basically child was glaring at me with her hands on her hips. Obviously pissed off and probably having seen a parent act entitled towards customer service before with 3 more girls behind her. I turned back to the plants and just kind of sighed, "I don't work here." I heard someone laugh and they just stomped off. But I was just so pissed that someone that young was already acting like an entitled tramp and felt the need to vent it. If I ever hear my daughter acting like this, there will be hell to pay. The fourth story. She started at an 8, then went to 11 real quick. To set the scene, a well-known athletic shoe store is having its annual big sale with 40% off regular price shoes and an additional 50% off markdown clearance. My husband works a physical job, has foot problems, and this particular brand of shoes keeps his pain to a minimum. He does go through shoes quickly due to the miles he puts on them and what he walks through as he does, so we always watch for this sale to stock up. He is also a smaller guy. He's 40 and covered in tattoos, but with a baby face and shorter than me by half a foot. He wears a men's size 7, which is sometimes in the kids section and is sometimes the smallest in the men's section. This year, he also got hurt at work, so his dominant arm is in a sling and he is struggling doing simple tasks, such as putting on and tying his shoes, shaving and such. He is currently sporting about 4 days of unshaven face. It all shall be noted that this takes place in winter, about a month ago, in New England. We are dressed for winter, with me in a large coat with thick fur trim and a winter hat. Our one mistake was slipping in on a Saturday, and then going to the store, which was an hour drive away. When we got there, the place was a disaster. The few employees that weren't on a register were running around wildly trying to help people. All of the outside walls of the store have been stocked with clearance, along with some of the aisles, but there are boxes of shoes all over the floor from people just leaving them behind instead of putting them back. I found one of the seats in a corner to sit my husband in. Due to his height, he often gets bumped into by people not paying attention, and with his injury, that would cause him a lot of needless pain / additional injury. He hates being effectively babied like this, but, well, he has no choice at the moment. I then entered the fray, pulling as many different pairs of shoes in his size / styles I know he likes as I can find, and then bringing the lot back to him. I then help him try them on, as one would by putting them on his feet, helping him tie them, etc. While I help him, we talk about where we might go for lunch and our dog's recent behavior, pepper it with comments about the shoes. He picks 3 pairs on clearance, and I go put the rest back on the shelves. As I turn around, I come face to face with a woman who, along with her female adult companion and their multiple children, have been relishing in making the mess bigger. She is snarling at me and barks a "finally" with an exasperated sign as she plops herself on a seat. Now, I need 4 pairs of pink sneakers in this style. She holds up her foot. From clearance in sizes, list 4 sizes, women's. Yeah, even finding 1 pair of pink shoes in any size was unlikely. This is clearance. The ugly shoes are the ones left. Me, sorry, I don't work here, but I think the ladies section is in... Her. BS. I just watch you help that kid over there. To him. Where the hell is your mother anyway? Logic check. Seriously, lady. Even if he was like 12 or something, he could buy shoes alone. Also, if you really think he is a kid, why isn't your next assumption that I'm his mother? Of course, he gets really embarrassed and, as he tends to be quite shy, looks down and turns red. Me, a bit curtly. Yeah, that is my husband, and I go walk around her. Her. Oh, don't you ducking lie to me. If he was, why the hell would you be putting his shoes on like that? I look back at my husband and we make a WTF, this lady is nuts face to each other. I roll my eyes and, at this point, I choose to ignore her. Before changing careers, I worked retail for over 20 years, all the way up to the store manager. 60 to 70 hours a week dealing with crazy customers sent me back to school, and now I work 9 to 5 in a nice, quiet cube farm. I'm no longer paid to placate people like her. Apparently, my ignoring her angers the beast, and as I reach up to put a box on the shelf, I'm yanked backwards by the neck. She's pulling on the hood attached to my coat. I trip on a box that is on the floor, spin around, wide-eyed, and before I can say a word, she screams in my face. Her. Get me the shoes I want now! Suddenly, a wild manager appears, drawn by her screaming, and runs up. Manager. Hi, ladies. Can I help you with anything today? Her. I want this rude tramp fired. She is... Me. I don't work here. I walk back over to my husband, who is now standing and trying to control his anger, and grab the stack of 3 boxes that he has selected off the floor. We go turn walk away, and in an instant, she stormed over and knocked the boxes out of my hands directly into him and his linked arm. He screams in pain, clutching his arm, and my attention goes immediately to him. When I look back up, the manager has moved in between the lady and us, and she is yelling about how I'm a liar. The manager is trying to see if my husband is okay, and we're just trying to leave the situation before anything else happens. The manager gives a half smile, helps me pick up the boxes, and we walk towards the lengthy register line. As we wait at the front, we can steal her tirade, and then the most beautiful sight of police officers entering the stores appears. The woman is soon after escorted out of the store by the officers. The funny part to us is that her companion and a herd of children, from the very start of the confrontation, had pretended to not know her, even though they had been obviously connected before then. They stayed in the store and continued shopping as she was brought out. We did have to make a small statement to the officers, but I don't know what happened to her afterwards, and we didn't press any personal charges. After talking with the cops, the manager did ring out our purchase personally and scanned an additional discount card, and we ended up with 3 pair of shoes for $40. And of course, pressing charges against her ourselves would have been a much bigger difficulty than we wanted to deal with. The store itself was an hour drive from our home already, and I'm sure both the hood yank and the box tapping would be claimed as accidental if brought to court. I didn't fight because it would have only escalated the situation. My focus was protecting my husband and getting him away. I have a history of fighting when needed, but I don't like doing it and prefer avoidance techniques. That, plus over 20 years in retail, trains someone to be screamed at by a lunatic without escalation. Well, nice discount. I hope your husband enjoys the shoes and you had a great lunch. The 5th story. I don't work here and cannot understand you, sir. Context. I'm French and I live in Paris. So, I was supposed to meet a friend after work for a drink that day, but as usual, she was goddamn late, like very, very late, and I ended up with an hour to kill. No problem, I was near the Haussmann Boulevard, so I went straight to the Galeries Lafayette to browse around all the things I cannot afford. I usually avoid that place because it's crowded with tourists and not very cozy, but there's several floors of stuff to look at, so perfect to kill time. So, here I am, walking around, browsing. Oh, and one thing you need to know, I had an important meeting at work that day, so I was still wearing a black suit with a red tie. Anyway, I was looking at some shirts and heard a deep man's voice speaking English very fast with a really thick accent. It took me some time to notice that he was talking to me. I turned around and saw this very big fellow, still speaking very fast, looking at me. I tried my best, but I swear, despite all my efforts, I had no freaking idea what he was saying. I'm not very good with English, but I usually can understand people from all over the world, but not this guy. I could barely catch 1 or 2 words like size and shirt, but that is all. The mix between the accent and the way too fast-paced was very difficult for me. He was talking so fast that I had to wait maybe like a minute to be able to answer. Between 2 breaths of the big guys, and I managed to say, "Sorry, I don't speak English." Obviously, it was not something I should have told him. He started to speak even louder. His face turned red, and his arms were flying around all over the place. I started to panic a little, but understood that the big guy was asking me for help with his shopping and was not pleased by my performance. I managed to snag another spot between 2 sentences, just enough to say, "Sorry, I don't work here, sir." Another mistake. He started to speak even louder and faster. I wasn't sure it was possible, but I was wrong. And I had no doubt anymore. This dude was angry at me, like very, very angry. Finally, an actual employee came to my rescue, wearing, as you can guess, a suit and tie. But before he could say anything, the big fellow started to yell at him while pointing a finger at me. The poor employee looked at me like, "WTF is happening here?" and told me in French, "What does he want? I don't understand him." Surprisingly, hearing people speak in French made the big fellow even more angry. We tried to explain the situation, but all we got in return was a very long gibberish and the word manager. At this point, a woman comes to us with two teenagers by her side, and for 1 second, I had hope that she could calm the big fellow or help us communicate. My hope crashed down when the lady started to speak with the same terribly thick accent and as fast as the big fellow. Probably the rest of the family, I thought. So, here we are, two people screaming in English, pointing fingers, waving arms, calling for a non-existent manager, and throwing a surprisingly big amount of ducks in between. I was about to leave but felt sorry for the employee. He was looking around for help, but nobody came to the rescue. We tried everything, our best English, even Google Translate with our phone, but the big dude was not interested in what we had to say. It became a little bit funny when we started to comment the situation in French. I told employees, "Do you get anything of this?" "Oh, nope, but I guess you did a terrible job here, mate. Glad you don't actually work here." "Oh my gosh, look at his face. It is so red." "Oh man, I hope he's not going to make a heart attack." It made us laugh a little. Terrible mistake again. Big dude don't like laughing. After a few minutes of this very awkward situation, the big dude family dropped on the floor a few articles, gave us a couple of more ducks, and left us. On my way out, I saw them dealing with a security staff, and this time, they were the ones yelled at in French. Made me smile. Well, people assuming people in other countries speak English are the worst. Like, not everybody speak English. On to the sixth story. Why do they let cripples work here? I don't. For context, I use a walking stick for mobility. I'm 29 and look a bit younger, so I do encounter some random and rude folks armed with misconceptions about disability. Anyway, I was in a large supermarket on my own. I was browsing some condiment jars when a woman comes up to me. This woman was a good bit older than me, dressed in a business suit, and had the look of someone who thought their crop didn't stink. She asked me where the bread was. I was taken off guard, so I had to pause to think. As I was about to respond, God, how do you not know where it is? You work here. Are you new? The employees wore black trousers and green polo shirt. I was wearing a black maxi skirt and a baggy pink t-shirt. Me, I don't work here, but I think the bread is down towards the bakery. Aren't you going to take me there, or do I have to get the manager? Me, look, I don't work here. I'm trying to do my shopping. Head to the bakery and I'm sure the bread will be there. I turn to leave. She clocks my walking stick. She obstructs my path away, knowing I'm not very able to dodge her. Why do they let cripples like you work here anyway? You're useless. Me, for the last time, I don't work here. I'm just doing my shopping. Now, leave me alone or I'll get an employee. At this point, an employee springs into action and tells the woman that I don't work here, but he can help. She walks off, tutting something about useless millennials. The employee told me he'd seen her hassling me and asked if I was alright. I said I'd be fine, but thanked him for bailing me out of the situation. He likely doesn't get paid enough for dealing with this nonsense. Oh man, I'm so sorry you had to went through that. That Karen was so entitled. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.